I would like to introduce allotrope to you. Can I maybe get a little hand here? Who knows about allotrope or who has heard about allotrope? All right, so that's more or less the majority. It's just going to be a short introduction. I'm not going to deep dive into any technical details here because I think if you're interested in that, we can talk about that. There's other folks here in the room that also have some expertise in that. I'm just going to give you an overview of what we actually have done so far and what the short-term roadmap is. So, allotrope objectives. Interestingly, it's the idea and the notion that we also had yesterday. Well, we have to be able to be somewhat vendor agnostic, right? We have to be able to move things from one instrument or output from one instrument to the next one. We should reduce our dependency on certain systems, right? That was the initial idea here. And if you look at that evolved a little bit the objectives so that we actually have reduced efforts in general, that we have reproducibility. I can put it on one instrument, I can read it on the other instrument, that we have really data integrity. Overall, also simplified process, integration more seamlessly, and then also something that Eric yesterday very nicely pointed out, the integration of semantics so that we actually can do some more with our data that we have. Now, apparently that idea here was quite appealing to a number of people. So allotrope was founded by a number of pharma companies. You see the names here up there. I think it's 12 right now. So most of the major big pharma companies are actually members of the Allotrope Foundation. And as you can imagine, if a number of pharma companies gets together and has a foundation and talk to each other, that needs also some guidance there. And that's why we have Brinker and Biddle with us that look at all the, say, regulatory aspects of this, so antitrust, and also helps us organizing our activities in general. And then we have a number of partners, and that's called the Allotrope Partner Network, because it's one of the very important things. It's nice if the pharma industry says, well, this is the standard, this is what we want to have, but it's useless if nobody of the vendors really adopts it. So we have this partner network that has been grown quite a bit over the time, and you see the names here, I don't have to read them out, that are right now actively actually participating in this partner network. So what are we creating? We call it the Allotrope Framework, and it has basically three main areas, let's put it this way. At the foundation there, you have the ontologies. So this is actually standardized vocabulary, and it's a little bit more than just the taxonomies. It's really giving also context. Then on top of that, we have the data models that really shape then and structure those ontologies and the way you use them. And finally, we have the Allotrope data format, we call it ADF, which is a platform-independent, vendor-agnostic format that we can use. How does it all fit together? You see here we have, and I can hardly see it here, but we have the Allotrope data format that is a specific file format. It's HDF5, which is a NISA format that is actually made to hold large amounts of data. It has certain areas in there. We call it the data description layer, the data cubes, and the data packages. And really anybody who wants more detail on that, come to us afterwards, talk to Eric, talk to Joe Pease. We can give a little bit more detail on that. And together then, with that, we're working with the ontologies that have this layer there, the taxonomy layer, that's consisting mainly of the material, of the equipment, then process, results, and properties. So those are the main layers that we structure the things. And then those data models that really put this all into shape. And then you can go and add your results into there. You can put results actually in the data description. You can put complex data in the data cubes, and the data package actually functions also that you can put additional information in there. So you can have collaterals. You can have your original raw files put into this data format. And of course, we're building also a API so that you can actually use that. And what we're delivering is not just a standard on paper, but we're actually delivering software components. That's, I think, a very important point. We're actually delivering something that you can use. Couple of examples here, what we're doing. I talk about an ontology. If you have, this is a description of a method. There's a lot of information in there, right? So there's a lot of information about material, and you can put that into a structured set of information, actually. There's a lot of information in this text here about your devices. You use an LCMS, and you have a specific detector, and all that is captured in the device section of the taxonomy ontology. There are certain properties. We have information about the actual process. And then finally also information about the results. So this is how you can dissect it and actually put that whole thing into a structured vocabulary. We've been working on those methods. So within the Allotrope Foundation, we're creating those taxonomies. And there's a number of these methods that we've covered so far. And the idea and the way we do it is through integration projects, right? So the actual, you see that? Yeah, we have it here. The actual way Allotrope operates is most of the stuff is done, or basically everything is done in actual real projects in the member companies, right? So I have, for example, in my labs, we have created certain taxonomies and actually using them right now as our master data. So there's a number of projects ongoing. I have a whole list of those projects. Excuse me. And if you're interested who does what, we can give you an overview there as well. But the idea is let's do something relevant. Let's do it within the context of a project in a company, which then has the advantages that we actually have something that works. If we're creating those ontologies, of course, one important piece here is that you have certain governance, and this is the model that we're currently working with, so that this whole ontology taxonomy is also kept alive and for the future made available, and that we have a way that we can work with it also in the future. So I have 2 more minutes. I'm trying to hurry a little bit here. Key milestones. So I think Mike just said it, it's relatively new, right? But we've been actually running at a pretty fast pace. So 2012 was actually the first launch. A couple of people came together and thought about this whole thing. And then rapidly we initiated the software development. We did first feasibility studies, proof of concepts, then had in 2015 first internal release, and then 2016 an update of that. We defined basically what our minimum viable product is. We had its second release end of last year. And then now in 2017, the idea is to really have a public release that is really available for everybody. A little bit more specific here on our roadmap, basically for this year, end of last year. So you see here, at about summer, we want to have a public release here from the actual ADF file format. And we're doing a lot of work right now to really make it robust. Then for the ontologies, that's the next part that comes out, where we actually put in place the governance process and again look at robustness, that this really also in a real life setting works. And then finally, with the data models around that, we're going to be there at about the end of this year to have that delivered. And finally, with 1 minute left, giving you the chance also to participate, or if you want to have more information. So what we do regularly is workshops that basically every 3 months or every 4 months we have those that include really face-to-face time. Everybody is invited. You can come there, talk to member companies, talk to other partners, and the next ones here are in March here at Pfizer in Connecticut. And then in June, we have one in the UK. And then finally in September, we have one in New Jersey. So if you're interested, join there. Doesn't cost anything but travel. And you can get a lot more information, interaction there. And with that, thank you very much.